Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, and after my podcast yesterday, I had a bunch of stuff that was being texted to me, and there is a video that I want to share with you guys because I want you all to get fired up. I want you to get mad. I want you to react as if this was happening to you and your family. Um, it's regarding illegal immigration, and it's about Rachel Morin, and it's about the 13-year-old girl that was raped in broad daylight by that. I think he was from Ecuador. Um, from by that pig, just raped in broad daylight. But a friend, a good friend, sent me this video, and it was just like a punch to the gut because I thought, this is how I've been trying to get America and the people who listen to me to react to this sort of thing. And I don't feel like I ever get the reaction out of people that I want to. I feel like it's just, oh my gosh, that's awful. And people just go on to the next thing in their day. I've said this many, many times, and this is why I stopped doing, Fox News and all those news things, because I really didn't feel like it was making a difference. People listen to you when you're on the news and you do a 3-minute little spurt, and they're like, oh, that poor mom, she lost her son. What's for dinner, honey? I mean, that's just the attention span of Americans. And Americans don't get reality. They don't understand that this may not be happening to you. This may not have happened to you already. You may not know anybody that this has happened to. You don't see it happening in your city or your community. But folks, it's reality and it's real. And it's there, and we've got to be afraid. We have to start standing up. We have to start warning our friends and our family and our neighbors and anybody that you may meet. You have to start talking about this, because this is one of the most important issues in the election this year, and it's illegal immigration. Flat out illegal immigration. The amount of crime that's happening and the amount of heinous crimes and disgusting crimes and the lack of any accountability, the lack of compassion for these people and the families who are going through this sort of thing really kind of sickens me, that there isn't more attention given to the victims of illegal alien crime. I've often stated, and I truly feel this way, that my son was just collateral damage, that all of my angel family members and their loved ones, their daughters, their sons, their grandsons, their granddaughters, their parents, their aunts, their uncles, it's just collateral damage. Nobody knows them. They're just nobodies. They're not on a world stage. They're not well known. So who really cares about them? The politicians don't. Heck, you and I are still alive, and our politicians don't care about us. Why would they care about our dead loved ones? Those who've been, killed by illegal criminals in our country. Why would they care? And then on the flip side of that is, why do they need to be punished? They've come here for a better life. I'm so sick of hearing that they've come here for a better life. No, these people come here with their third world mentality and just come in here with a vengeance and push that on the American people. You look at those crimes in New York where women are just walking along the street and those illegals are just walking by and just smacking them in their faces and knocking them to the ground. I just watched a video yesterday, and it's in France, but they've got a big immigrant problem there too, illegal immigrant problem. And a pregnant woman was thrown off a train. It was stopped, but the doors were open, and these illegal thugs just threw her off the train onto the platform. She was pregnant, and she's laying there unconscious. And what's happened to the masculinity, and what's happened to the caring attitude of fellow Americans when they see something like this happening? What does everybody do? They get out their phones and they start recording it. Why isn't anybody standing up for somebody else's life? And then they wonder why we have an issue of why they've had to enact the draft, of why nobody's coming to sign up to be in the military to protect our country. Heck, they won't even protect their neighbors. They won't even protect their friends or family members. They'll just whip out their phone and start filming it. So what do we have? Military age men and women who go in there and whip out their phone and just start filming on the front lines. There's no sense of pride and protection and stopping the wrong that's happening in our country. And the biggest perpetrator of the wrong in our country is sitting in the White House. Well, and probably a few blocks away, Obama. Because I showed you that video yesterday where he actually told us, that if asking if he wished he could have a third term. Well, if I could be the guy in the background and, have the guy have an earpiece in and me telling them what to do and they're just doing it, but I'm not being seen. That's exactly what's going on. Because that senile old man surely isn't coming up with all these ideas himself. This is too calculated. This is too, it's right on in the playbook of the one world order and the open borders and just flooding every country with people who aren't from those regions to cause mass and utter confusion, destruction, and killing. All of these Americans who've been killed by these illegal criminals, guess what, folks? It's one less person that Bill Gates and the WHO and the World Economic Forum, it's one less person they have to worry about often, right? Because you just let illegal criminals into every country and let them do their business. And then on top of it, make sure that you let terrorists in. As you can see, my dog is on a wild rampage this morning. She's a crazy girl. Anyway, you let terrorists in their countries. And then there's terrorist attacks. So there's maybe 1,000 less people that they have to worry about. And they surely, the WEF, all of these people, one world government elites, they don't care even about the people that they've sent in ahead of them to do the dirty work. It's really disgusting how much we don't mean to our own government. Bella, come here. Bella. I gave a bone to Nibbles, and Bella didn't see that I was holding one out for her. Hold on a second. So anyway, I'm going to pull this up. It's going to take me a minute. Let me see. It's in my messages. And like I said, I do want to apologize because there is some language in it. But let me see. Let me stop this. We'll bring this up. All right. There is some language, not a whole lot, but I just want you to know that before I share this.
Folks, being an artist is a blessing, but there's also a curse to it. It's a yin-yang thing. and I think I speak for all artists, even those artists that you see that do these pretty landscapes and sunsets and bunnies and rainbows, we need that kind of artist, but that's their outlet. And I have my outlet. See, the problem, the curse being an artist is that we have this imagination, this vivid, crisp imagination that when we think or see things, it's embedded. Most people, now I'm not saying that we're any better than anybody. As a matter of fact, I wish I didn't have this. Most people just see something and it just registers and then it goes to another subject. But when we see something so fucking ugly, it stays with us because we really get deep into that image or that statement and visualize it. And it overwhelms us. It consumes us. And then you have those artists who gratefully will use that pain to show a beautiful landscape. And then there's artists like me who will show that ugly, fucking nasty truth. I want you people in the back of the room, specifically you folks in the back of the room, to try to be an artist for 2 minutes. Empty out your brain. Empty it out. I'm talking to you people in the back of the room who refuse to vote for Donald Trump because he said the P word or he sends me tweets. Meanwhile, all hell's breaking loose. This illegal alien who murdered somebody in El Salvador, and then they sent him here, and you guys in the back of the room welcome him with open arms without being vetted. So what does this fucking scumbag do? He murders, rapes and murders Rachel Morin, mother of 5, beautiful, innocent woman. He rapes her violently, scummy. Then he proceeds to take a rock. Now, here's where I want you to visualize. I'm sorry, but I need you to, because this may help you change your fucking mind on your direction. He takes this boulder, and while she's still alive, he cracks her fucking head open like a coconut. Violently, viciously. You ever bump your head? How painful that is? I've done it many times. I got cracked in the head with a pipe many years ago. I got a concussion. It's painful. Picture, feel this woman. See this image. It's not a movie. It's real. And I want you to think about that. And keep it in there for a little bit. And then I want you to think about this little 13-year-old girl here in New York that was raped a few days ago. 13, by an illegal alien. In the heat. Now I want you to visualize your niece, your daughter, innocent purity at 13, young girl, being violently, filthy, opened up by this fucking animal, fucking not only her up physically, but mentally for the rest of her life. Think, people. Fucking think. I see you people that vote, that aren't going to vote, who vote for the open borders. I see you. I say hello. But in here, I consider you responsible for the death, the splitting open of that head, the rape of that woman, Rachel Morin, and this 13-year-old girl, and every other piece of shit that happens in this fucking country.
Hit me today like it did yesterday. Folks, that's reality. And that guy is delivering a gut punch. And this is how more people need to visualize what's happening to innocent American citizens in this country by these scummy illegal criminals. And you know, these people, I mean, I'm door knocking, I'm campaigning, folks. You know, I'm running for office. And there's some people who say, you know, well, how do you feel about the border? And I said, I'm all for 100% for securing our border. Yeah, well, I'm not going to vote for you because, you know, I think we need to be humane. These people need asylum. And, you know, yes, folks, there are people who need asylum. We get it. But there is not the violence going on in this world that there used to be. The violence is not going on in Central America the way that it used to be. Because guess what? You've got leadership in some of those countries that are taking care of that problem, like in El Salvador. They went in there and eradicated MS-13. It's one of the safest countries in the world right now. El Salvador. It's safer than the United States regarding crime and violent criminals. So you've got these countries that all of these people are coming from, but they really aren't seeking asylum. They're coming here for a better life. Look, these illegal criminals and these gang members, Tren de Agua from Venezuela, that are coming up here, this is an opportunity, folks, because they've heard from their fellow gang members, or they've heard from their cousin who may not be in the gang, but has told them, oh, you can commit crime here in the United States. Nothing happens to you. Nothing happens to you, bro. Come on in. Come on. I'll let you stay at my apartment. All you're going to get is a slap on the wrist. You're not going to have to pay bail to get out of jail. You're not going to be in those crappy prisons like you were in Venezuela. Come on, bro. Come to America. It's a land of golden wheat, man. You get everything here for free. These stupid Americans pay for everything for us. That is the message that's going out, and that's why they're all coming here. It's not because they fear for their lives. Well, these gang members may, but it's not because the majority of these people fear for their lives, or there's political unrest going on in their country, or they're going to be thrown in prison if you're a normal person. And if you're a gang member who's fearing being thrown into prison when you get back to your home country, we don't want you. We don't want you to begin with. But this hyped up asylum claim BS that the Biden administration and Mayorkas have made the core of their mission to destroy the United States of America is making me so angry. And that guy the video that I showed you of just lit that fire underneath me again. Nobody's ever going to shut me down, folks. Ever. They've tried many, many times. I've been on the receiving end of cancel culture many times. And they just keep coming after me. And it's not going to work because this lady isn't going to shut up. I know too many angel moms and angel families and angel grandparents like Laura, who watches this show every day. I love you, Laura. We love our grandchildren and our children too much to just go by the wayside and not say anything. Not going to be me. I'll be shouting about this till the day I die, folks. I'll be wheeling up to my computer in my wheelchair and doing this podcast every day and making sure you all know about it. So, and there's times when I get up in the morning and I think, do people really care about what I talk about on my podcast? And I just remind myself, you got to keep doing it. Even if it's one person, even if it's two people, even if it's a new person who hears something that you have to say and it matters, get up and do it. And so I'm asking each and every one of you to start talking about your friends and family and neighbor about, do open borders mean something to you? And if it does, what does it mean? Well, it means that, the poor people from these other countries get to come here and feel safe and protected. Okay, well, that's great. But have they really proven that, their life is in danger in their homeland? Have they had a full screening, a vetting, like you or I would if we went to another foreign country and wanted to go in there and stay there permanently because you claim that the United States is going to kill you if you go back home? They're not just going to open their doors. They're going to do a complete vetting on you. Probably x-rays on top of it to find out everything about you. These people don't get medical exams. You know, that guy who killed Rachel Morin, the mother of 5, who raped her and smashed her head in with a boulder, that pig had already killed somebody, and then came across the border and then went to Los Angeles, committed crimes, raped a woman, a young, or maybe even a teenager, and then ended up on the other side of the country. Guaranteed he got a flight probably paid for by the taxpayers in California. Well, actually all of us ultimately. But you're going to tell me that Border Patrol has no way of knowing when they look this guy up, when they put his name in from his identification, that he's not a criminal? Well, yeah, there's a real good chance that's not going to happen, because guess what? They don't give their proper name. They don't need a real form of identification when they come over our border. This is how stupid Mayorkas is. This is what an idiot, a complete moron, treasonous pig that he is. He doesn't care. Get on your cell phone, all you illegals, and go to the CBP app and apply for asylum. And when you get to the port of entry, show your phone that you applied and we'll let you in. No questions asked. That's basically what's going on at our borders. And then they claim, you know, that once it hits 2,500 in the unsecured areas where it's not a port of entry, 2,500 a day for 7 consecutive days, they're going to shut it down. Well, how easy is it for Mayorkas, the liar in chief, to say, well, it was only 2,422 today, and it was 2,399 yesterday. They're going to keep it right under that threshold of 2,500 a day, right? Because they don't really want you knowing what's happening. But there's way more than 2,500 a day coming over the border, clear across our southern border, that aren't ports of entry. Trust me. When you have over 300 miles in Arizona that's unsecured, that is not a port of entry, and has maybe 3 or 4 strands of barbed wire as a border fence, you can be guaranteed more than 2,500 a day are coming across. The cartels are just that hungry. They're going to keep that cattle call going, and they're going to keep making the billions and billions of dollars that they're making every year on human smuggling and sex trafficking, human trafficking, slave trafficking, call it whatever you want. But this all falls squarely on the shoulders of Mayorkas. And I really wish there was a way that we could have an attorney to stand up and get a class action lawsuit going against Mayorkas. And I know it's next to impossible to sue the federal government, but there's got to be something for the lack of upholding his oath, and for doing things against the laws that we have in place, the immigration laws that we have in place. And, you know, Biden claiming there was nothing he could do to shut down the borders. I don't have it in my authority. Congress has to do something, you know, and then a few weeks later, because illegal immigration is the biggest issue during this campaign cycle, oh, lo and behold, there's an executive order. But what is it? Just a bunch of hot air, which I'm sure he lets out going across every stage that he's on. It's just a bunch of hot air, right, folks? So we really, really, really need to get mad. I can't stress this enough. I mean, I don't like that there's the cussing words in that video, but it's the way that man gets his point across. And I'm probably going to post it on my Angel Family's Facebook page. It may get banned. I may get banned. Who knows what's going to happen? But I'm that mad about all this. I'm just really upset that people don't pay attention more to this. And It's not just Rachel Moran, folks. It's not that 13-year-old girl. This is crime. Crime goes on every single frickin' day. And it's disgusting, the kind of crimes that are going on. On June 18th, which was yesterday, in New York City, a migrant mob pummeled New York police cops checking on unattended children outside a New York homeless shelter. So they're facing gang assault charges after allegedly pummeling two New York police cops outside a Queens hotel shelter, prosecutors and law enforcement sources said Tuesday. 4 men were busted after they attacked two of the cops before 4:30 a.m. Monday as the cops were checking on 3 unattended children outside the converted Long Island City hotel that now houses asylum seekers, according to authorities. This is at 4:30 a.m. in the morning in New York City. When they asked about the unsupervised kids, the men allegedly pounced on them. In an effort to check on the children's safety, they approached a nearby group of adults to make sure that the children were being supervised. And so instead of having a conversation, 5 adults began punching, kicking, and shoving the officers, and 2 assailants throwing bikes and striking the cops. So all 4 of the suspects, one was 25, a guy, another guy was 42, a girl was 42, and another guy was 23. They're housed at city-funded sites. So all the 4 of them were arraigned Tuesday. Let's see. A fifth suspect, a woman, hit one of the cops with a child bike, but fled the scene. So the DA's office asked that all 4 suspects be held without bail, but Daniels, the judge, Judge Edward Daniels, remember that name? Judge Edward Daniels set the bail at $50,000 in cash or a $150,000 bond for each. They are due back in court on Friday. So what's the chances of them having $50,000 in cash? Depends on if they're dealing in drugs, right? Depends on what they're doing. Depends on if they're part of the big groups of migrants who are stealing and assault and stealing purses and robbing stores and stealing goods in stores and reselling them out on the streets. I don't know. That was just another card where they stopped the illegals, human smuggling down in Texas. That's just an everyday thing now. So who cares about that? Nobody cares about that anymore. So this is backstory on this. Stop this. So I think I can go back from here. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders tweeted out, did Gavin Newsom suddenly start caring about the border, or is it just 5 months before an election and the Democrats realize their border crisis is one of their biggest liabilities? Now that was in response to Governor Newsom showing up down at the border in this stupid little video, talking about, listen to this.
Too far away, which is the largest in the Western Hemisphere. Now, we were just down here with the National Guard, meeting with customs agents as well as Border Patrol, talking about our partnerships. 390 National Guardsmen and women that have been working, particularly as it relates to fentanyl.
Now, let me tell you something. I think they have over 30,000, more than that, National Guard in California. And Governor Newsom standing there like he's done such a great deed, sending 390 of them down to the border. Do you know what's happening in California and how many are coming over there in the San Diego area? And there's 2 or 3 other spots there along the southern border in California. And on top of it, then at Yuma, which is right at the California-Arizona border, there's tons of people that are coming over in those areas. And this guy, and it's just recently that he sent these National Guard people down there.
And the Republican Party has been consistently standing in the way of providing the resources, the support for the men and women working hard, not only here at the border, but out throughout the state of California.
He's a liar. He's no better than Mayorkas. Now, when they keep saying that Republicans are standing in the way, this is those garbage bills that happen in DC, folks, that have nothing to do with border security, just like the deal that they tried to put through recently when a bunch of Republicans voted against it, when it was more money going to Israel to protect their borders, which, I agree with helping Israel, but not to the extent that we're not helping America, folks, when we've got terrorists coming into our country. And that's what we're fighting, trying to help Israel is fighting against the terrorists. I don't agree with sending the amount of money that we're sending to Zelensky at all. None of it. That's the biggest money laundering, corrupt country in the world. There's no accountability for the billions that we've already sent them. So when Governor Newsom and all these idiot Democrats say that Republicans are holding everything up, no, Republicans are holding the line from this wasteful spending. They're not going to vote on a bill that the Democratic members of Congress want to call Border Security Act, when all it's doing is sending more money to Zelensky and Israel and other foreign countries for border protection, and very minuscule amounts that will go here. And the only thing that the minuscule amounts that they have going to the United States border security will cover is hiring more Border Patrol agents. Hell no. Hell no. I don't want my taxpayer money going to hiring more babysitters and paper shovers. Don't want it. Under the pretense that they're Border Patrol agents. They're not patrolling the border, folks. They're not protecting the border. Mayorkas won't allow them to do that. Number two, they need that money for high-tech things. What? To do another phone app so that these people can get on their mobile phones and apply for asylum on their mobile frickin' phones and come to our border and say, applied, approved, go on in. Welcome to America. I don't want my taxpayer money going to another phone app for these idiots. And I sure as the heck don't want my money going towards resources for these Border Patrol agents standing in these processing centers to make more ham and cheese sandwiches for these people. That isn't where I want my money going. So no, Governor Newsom, it's not the Republicans holding it up. It's the Democrats who want to just spend more and more and more of our money and do nothing about the true problem of illegal immigration, and that would be truly securing our border. All right, I can't listen to his voice anymore. So that's the video that Sarah Huckabee was responding to. And then Gavin Newsom responds, your thirst for attention from Donald Trump is truly palpable. Keep spinning the lies for him. Maybe you'll get your name back on that VP list. Have a good Friday, Saturday. That's how this pig responds to her. And he is a pig. So then this video came out in response to him saying that to her. And it says, here was your California border yesterday, Gavin Newsom, because he's talking about how the border in California is so secure with his 390 National Guard guys that he sent there.
Today is June 13th, about 11 a.m. here on the left coast, and we got another group of Biden's newcomers here who just crossed over illegally into the United States.
Didn't that make you feel safe? And that size of a group, is happening 20, 30 times a day at multiple locations. A ton of locations, hundreds of locations across the United States, southern border where it's not secured. So that's Gavin Newsom's California border that he's saying, his 390 National Guardsmen are down there helping and they're securing the border. And this is Republicans' problem. No, this isn't Republicans' problems. Because I know for a fact here in Arizona, the Republicans down at the Capitol tried many, many times to get border security legislation passed this last session. They just ended session. And they tried many, many bills. And the Democratic governor, of course, vetoed every single one of them. And you didn't have one Democrat at the Capitol here in Arizona voting for any of that border security. None. We have a Democratic governor who will not send National Guard down to the border to help Sheriff Daniels down in Cochise County to send anything down to the border that would help the flow coming up through Pinal County, through Sheriff Lamb's county, and surely no help going down to the sheriff in Yuma County, where the big influx of people is coming across the border there. So let me see. I think I've got a couple more articles. This is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And of course, it's coming from Joy Reid and Representative Jayapal. God, I love these women. Listen to this.
Now is Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal of Washington State. She is a ranking member of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration Integrity, Security, and Enforcement, and she was at the White House today for the announcement. Congresswoman, it is good to see you. It has been too long. This is huge. Talk about how President Biden got from that previous executive order, which a lot of immigration advocacy groups denounced, to this.
Yes, well, it is huge. It is the biggest thing that we have seen since DACA in terms of protections for people. 500,000 people, Joy. And these are folks who are married to U.S. citizens, have been here for...
By the way, this is referencing the 500,000 people that Joe Biden gave amnesty to.
At least 10 years, have U.S. citizen children in some cases, not in some cases, and to be able to say to them, President Biden is keeping your family together. He is making sure that you do not have to leave the country and go through some arcane.
So it's 500,000 spouses and 50,000 children. Now, mind you, this is, and of course, are these people going to be vetted? They have to provide 3 years. Provides 3 years to apply for permanent residency, makes it easier to get a green card, citizenship, and work permits on a case-by-case basis. So so basically what this doing is shielding them from deportation, so they can feel safe that ICE isn't going to be showing up at their house to deport them, which Biden doesn't allow that. Mayorkas doesn't allow any of that to happen. Anyway, even if you're a convicted illegal criminal, a felony criminal, they still won't deport you. Mayorkas won't allow it. But anyway, this is the type of thing that should have been addressed by Congress a long time ago. But now you have a president doing an executive action. And folks, I'm telling you right now, this is totally against the law. You cannot have a president doing executive actions on immigration. That solely rests on the shoulders of Congress to do anything about this sort of thing. And Obama, when he did this back in his presidency, formed the DACA, the Dreamer program. That was completely against immigration law. You can't have presidents doing executive orders like this. And yet this is what they're screaming that Trump is going to do if he gets into office. Oh my God, he's going to do an executive order and mass deport all of these illegals, our brothers and our sisters. But we won't talk about the criminals. This is what they're afraid that Trump is going to do. But as long as it's Biden or a Democrat president, doing executive orders that they know is something that is absolutely going to destroy our country. And it's totally out of the authority for the president of the United States to be doing anything like this. The Democrats are just going to go along with it. I want to
process
and maybe not be able to get back
and
in.
not folks, and
Yeah.
it's going to be. It really is a transformational thing. I got tears in my eyes today at the press conference listening to this young man Javier who worked during COVID at a hospital.
See, and these are the stories they tell you, because let me tell you something, and we're going to get to it in this little interview. They will never talk about the criminal aspect of the illegal aliens coming into this country. Never.
Saving people's lives. He's a dreamer. He's married to a U.S. citizen.
Election issue. They're following Donald Trump's orders to keep it. They want they want chaos at the border so that he gets
U.S. citizen. He's got kids. He's now going to be able to stay.
And you had a lot of grace in saying it. Republicans wanted to hold as an election issue. They're following Donald Trump's orders to keep it. They want they want chaos at the border so that he gets reelected. But there is this thing that's happening in the conversation on immigration on the ground level, which is that polling, and we don't know how reliable it is and how it's worded. I guess it depends. That you seem to see more, even Democrats, or at least a third of Democrats. And even Latinos in some cases in favor of mass deportation. I guess it's a question of people's fear of, employment, competition, or fear of, a disorderly process that they didn't have to go through, and they feel like I went through the orderly process. What do you think is behind that?
I mean, first of all, I think the polls are all over the place.
Yeah.
There was just a poll recently. A lot of it depends on how you word it. If you say, do you want disorder at the border, or do you want people to just come in?
See, and that's what the Democrats do really good. She said it out loud. It's just the way you word it, because you confuse a voter. And if you word it properly, they're going to answer the way that you need them to for the poll that you're doing.
Across the border.
To your point, not to cut you, but
right?
let me read this to you. So this is the poll in favor of mass deportation. This was the question. It was, would you favor or oppose the U.S. government starting a new national program to deport all undocumented immigrants currently living in the U.S. illegally?
Yeah.
And so it's like it casts these people, but these are folks that are working in the meatpacking.
That's right. They've been working. They've been here. I mean, the average person that will qualify for the president's executive order today has been here for 23 years, Joy.
And working.
23 years and working. And we hear people all the time saying, we don't want to have to take care of people and have.
Okay, so let me point out to you that they're doing this because it's an election year. The Democrats have never cared about these illegals who've lived here for 23 years, married to American, have American spouses, have had their children here. They haven't given a darn about these people. But because it's an election year, if they do something for these people who have felt like they've been ignored or overlooked or whatever, now you're going to have those people out in public talking about it. But they're doing something for us. You have to vote for them. The Republicans want to deport us, but look at what the Democrats just did for us. Oh my gosh, we can stay here now. 500,000 and 50,000 children. We don't know the ages of those children if they're able to be out talking about this in public. That's a pretty good boost to the numbers for the Democrats, isn't it? Pro Biden.
Have our tax dollars go when we have housing we need to provide for people at home. Well, the easiest way to fix that is let people work.
Well,
because
also
when people work, like the Uniting for Ukraine program, those people came in and they immediately got to work.
Yeah.
Whereas what's happening now with the asylum process is when people do come in, it takes a long time for them to even be able to get work authorization. Right. Most of them are ready to work. They want to work. We, thanks to President Biden and Democrats.
Don't you think if you were fearing for your life, fleeing political persecution, or that you've come out of this tragic situation and this long trek to get here, walking and riding on buses and being human trafficked by the cartel, don't you think you'd be exhausted? No, these people are ready to work the minute they get here. That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Are at the lowest level ever, in the last 50 years of unemployment. So why not let people work?
And record low crime rate. And also
record low crime. I don't know how these women sleep at night, honestly. These women, the nurturers, the mothers, and they're lying to their fellow mothers. Don't worry, these people don't commit crimes. Hey, Rachel Morin, you're not going to get raped and your skull smashed in by a boulder. And hey, mother of the 13-year-old daughter, let her go to the park. Nothing's going to happen to her. You can trust these illegal criminals that are roaming our cities.
So immigrants commit fewer
Exactly.
crimes, and they're actually
They don't commit fewer crimes. They commit hundreds and thousands more. Let me just read you something. The Department of Justice just released statistics, and this was from 2018, folks. 36% of U.S. citizens committed federal crimes. 64% of the federal crimes committed in 2018 were done by non-citizens. And that was 2018. Tell me how much worse it is today. So screw you, Joy Reid. They do commit more crimes than Americans.
great citizens.
But there's a lot of fear mongering.
There's a lot
to
of
your
fear mongering.
question.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think it's kind of remarkable that the polls I look at, the national polls, actually Americans still support immigrants. They
Yeah.
support immigration. It's just that they would like to see a system that actually works
orderly.
and that can keep them safe
Yeah.
and secure. And all of us want that. And, you know, I've been working on this issue for 20 years since
Yes.
before I came to Congress,
Yes.
in the streets as an activist.
Let me show you this is one of the reasons that people have these sort of thinking. Here's the three cable networks reporting of this. This was our banner said.
So, yeah, let me play this.
Soon Biden announces legal protections for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens. CNN's banner said Biden announces new protections for some undocumented spouses. Here was Fox's banner: migrant arrested for raping 13-year-old New York.
So what is more important to you? And Jayapal laughs about it. CNN and MSNBC are talking about we're giving protection for the undocumented spouses. That's their big headline. And Fox News has the audacity to be reporting at the same time that the migrant arrested for raping a 13-year-old New York City girl. Like, that isn't more headline news than giving protection to more illegals.
Yes.
And so this
Listen,
banner said
listen to
Biden
them
announces
laugh.
new protections for some undocumented spouses. Here was Fox's banner: migrant arrested for raping 13-year-old New York City.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of the problem, right? Is that
Exactly.
you have a
Jayapal laughs about it, folks. Like, this is nothing. This 13-year-old girl means nothing. This is what is so frustrating in going over all of this stuff and reading about it and watching it and listening to things that are happening to people, crimes that are committed against us. I want to finish this because I want you to finish seeing this.
lot
Part of
of
the problem.
fear mongering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that we know that when people have economic insecurity, right, when they're facing high childcare costs, when they're facing high housing costs, they are concerned for themselves. And so anybody who comes in to a space of that economic insecurity and says, hey, you know, why are these people getting something that you're not getting?
Right.
It does turn people against those people, whether they agree or don't agree that they have, you know, that they're helping the country.
So you have a U.S. congressional representative, Jayapal, really admonishing any American citizen who is in the same space as these migrants. She's telling them, how could you even ask, why do they have that and I don't have that? Are you serious, lady? Because that American citizen knows that their taxpayer money is going to give that migrant that stuff for free that they can't afford. Wake up. This is how stupid these people are.
I mean, the economics of immigration are absolutely, you can't argue with
No.
it. You know,
So they're costing the United States taxpayers over $581 billion a year as a whole across the United States. And there's more costs on a state by state basis, depending on how many of them that they have in there. But, and she's trying to say that these people are a good financial decision for the United States to have these people here.
We have brought in so much money through immigration, and the surge in immigration
Absolutely.
has.
They haven't brought in one frickin' dime. What universe is this lady living in? Who votes this woman into office? She is in Congress. She's on the Appropriations Committee, folks. This foreign-born representative at the halls of Congress. I really can't even believe what's happening in this country.
Has already brought in so much money and will continue to do so.
Absolutely. And without migrants, our economy would collapse.
That's right.
These two delusional witches, honestly, our economy would collapse without them. Hey, how many of you were doing better before all this started happening? I sure as a heck was. I was doing great during the Trump administration. Now, I went to the store last night and couldn't believe how quickly it took me to spend $78 on a very few items that I needed to go get.
We would have a
Every single
recession
day.
immediately.
That's right.
Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, congratulations. The head of the Progressive Caucus, getting some
Yes.
progressive stuff done through the White House and getting
Still
Biden
making
to
it
sign
happen.
on, making it happen. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Congresswoman.
Joy.
And coming up, the once harmless
So she should be a target. We need to get her out of office. We need to get her out of the halls of Congress, right? We need to get Mayorkas out of the Department of Homeland Security. We need to get Biden out of the White House. Let's see, how many local people do you know about in your communities that you need to get out and get better representation? That's where it's going to start, folks. And I'm out door knocking and talking with disengaged voters, voters who have not voted in the last 1 or 2 presidential elections. That is, those are the people that we need to be having conversations with. And every one of us, every one of us can take, even if it's an hour on a Saturday, to knock on 10 people's doors. There's ways of getting lists of fellow Republicans to go knock on their door and have a conversation with, even if it's in your own neighborhood. Knock on your neighbors' doors, the ones that you know that are Republican, and make sure that they are going to be voting, that they're not going to sit this one out, that they're going to make sure that they're at the polling place. And it's really interesting because here in Arizona, the moderates and there's some lobbyists that are really fighting to keep me out of office. And I've just kind of found this out in the last couple of weeks. So it's because they know that I'm going to be voting very conservative and I'm not going to be able to be pushed around. And that's the thing that frightens them the most. So we have a newbie who has come up and run, and we've got 2 seats available here in LD9. And we've got this young girl who really is not very politically savvy. And, they're really pushing for her. And a lot of the lobbyists are getting their companies and firms that they represent to endorse her and not endorse me, even though we don't have a primary. They should be endorsing both Republicans because we want to take both seats, right? But this is what they're doing because they're hoping that she gets the most votes, and then the lobbyists are really going to put the money behind her after the primary for the general and hopefully single shot her and get her a seat. However, what they don't understand is the grassroots movement here in LD9 is doing exactly that for me. And I'm out door knocking every single day, not every single day, but I'm out door knocking and meeting with the people in my district. And we are going to make a difference. And our voices do matter. And you know what? That is the biggest thing when I talk to people is that they feel like, even though it's we the people, none of them feel like they're the people. They feel like every one of their representatives get voted into office, and that's the last time they see or hear from them. And nothing that they're doing is representing them. So let's talk more about that tomorrow. The gentleman on the video who I showed you at the beginning of this podcast, I am trying to get him on my show. And he was also involved in the Relentless Patriot, that movie. And I have a wonderful friend of mine, John Shattuck, not the former congressman, another gentleman who's going to connect me with a lot of people who were involved in putting that movie together. So hopefully we'll have some of those great guests on here. But I will see you all bright and early tomorrow. I hope you have a good evening. Thanks for joining me today.